right, Arc Raiders Season 5 Week 8 Trials. Open containers within the Spaceport walls. This is a new trial. It's a variation on one that we just saw recently that was loot containers on Spaceport, the entire map. Now, the bulk of what is lootable on this map is actually within the Spaceport walls, so not a lot is going to change from the last time this trial was run. So if you're familiar, you'll know pretty much where to go and what to expect. But let's run through what we know for this. This is obviously going to take place on Spaceport. Best opportunity here for Cantina Sweats for maximum score is going to be Hidden Bunker, so you get that extra match time. Points for this is 100 points per container searched, and a really good score for this would be around 25,000 points as a solo raider. Okay, that's roughly 250 containers that you're looking to open. Husk Graveyard isn't in rotation, neither is Lush Blooms, but in this one, you don't need something additional like EMS for the 15 or 16 possible husks that would spawn within the walls anyways. You don't have enough time as it is to hit every container within the walls, and so you don't need the extra dozen or so that you might find with a map like that. What you need is the extra time from Hidden Bunker. And for reference, the probes that actually land from the sky that come down that are breachable, that you can loot all three sides of, those don't count as containers looted for this. So you can skip those whenever they do come down. Crashed ones, already smoking ones on the ground, do count. Prep for this. Hopefully you gathered up all of the key cards that you need, the control tower key, the container storage key, the warehouse key, and 2 trench tower keys, one for the north and one for the south. Your kit for this trial is going to be all of the keys that you have. Snap hook, 1 is probably sufficient. If you're worried about it, bring 2. A mountain of stims as usual, a couple wolf packs in case you get aggroed by the wrong thing, a photoelectric cloak for the same reason, and a couple stacks of zips for traversal. The strat for this map: plan your route based on your final extract. This is what you're gonna look at immediately upon loading in to make sure that you have an extract you want and that you have the full match timer. Otherwise, rinse and repeat. The central or south elevators are best, but west is also fine. East is usable, but you'll lose a few precious seconds. If you really want to maximize your score here, it's like the central elevator extract. Then you can set up zips to one of the smaller breachable rooms nearby, leave those for last, hit the button at the last second, and you can loot one of those rooms to get a few extra containers while the elevator is being called. And you don't get that opportunity if it's somewhere like the east elevator. If possible, as usual with these search trials, depending on your spawn and extract, you can leave a couple of key rooms until last just in case someone else is running these trials and they use their keys. As always, it's going to be touch and go searching. Remember, you don't need to actually loot anything from these containers. You just need to interact with them, whatever the container is, until you hear the audio cue. That is the indicator that you have now interacted with this object. And you can confirm that you got your points over on the side of the screen as you are moving on to your next item. And if all of that sounds a bit too spicy for now, for where you're at with your skill level in your Arc Raiders game, here's what second best practices look like for the sane people out there. Rather than worrying about all of the keys, go in with whatever ones you have. Hope that others have opened them as well. Obviously still going to be done on Spaceport, but if your schedule doesn't allow for you to work around something like Hidden Bunker, any map mode for this will be fine. You're going to be looking at about half the score of the Cantina Sweats, about 12,000 points solo. That's about 125 containers that you can expect to open. For this, your kit is going to be about the same. Whatever keys you've got, snaps, stims, whatever you need to deal with Arc as you make your way around, strat for this, going to be the same as the Sweats. You just won't be moving as quick. Now, the science for this trial that we don't know that needs conducting here is the exact containers that mark the perimeter of what all counts within the Spaceport walls. For instance, does looting the Baron that straddles the south wall, does that count? What about the crashed Arc probes on the walls, like the one that appears on the south end? The guard towers? The cars in the departure building parking lot? We don't know, since this is the first time this trial's been run, and we can't know until the trial goes live. I'm going to throw up a map so you guys can see where the Spaceport walls historically have counted for damaging Arc within the walls, but as for the containers themselves, that's where we need your help. So you can include in the comments below where you found boundaries, tell us what things counted, what things didn't, and we can build up a map for future reference there. Damage Wasps, a returning trial. This one, best practices for Cantina Sweats, it's going to be Spaceport. hidden bunker, or blue gate, locked gate, the longer match times as usual here. Points for this, it's 2 points per 1 damage dealt to Wasps, so you're going to be looking at a score between 30 and 37,000 points as a solo raider. The best of the best out there will be able to kill over 150 Wasps. One Wasp has 110 health, so you get 220 points per full health Wasp that you kill. You're going to be going in with 72 to 75 scanners, and that equals 144 to 150 Wasps. Remember, natural snitches now call in not just the 2 Wasps and a Hornet that they once did, where they could reliably be used to pad stats on trials like this. Now they call in things like Fireflies and Rocketeers. So proccing natural snitch spawns now for a trial like this is super risky. Prep for this, farming snitch scanners. Again, for maximum points here, it's going to be 70-something scanners that you're bringing into the match. And so your kit is going to be however many scanners you've got and the weapons that you are effective with. Sweats will likely run something like a hairpin or a Berletta, so they can use light ammo that comes off of looting the Wasps. I will likely run looting cautious, the light shield that goes with it, a Berletta with an extended barrel 3 and extended light mag, and a Jupe. I am comfortable with the Jupiter. That's what I'm going to be primarily using for this. 7 stacks of energy ammo, 1 wolf pack, which you use for the initial 6 scanners, a stack of herbals, and 22 stacks of scanners. That's going to be my kit that I run. That'll be 66 scanners total. So the strat for this for Cantina Sweats is going to be immediately see your final extract and whether or not you got a full match timer. Decide if you can work with it. If not, extract, rinse, and repeat. Once you do get a match that you're comfortable with, it's important to throw your first set of scanners pretty quickly, so that anybody else out there maybe trying to do it will have their throws blocked, and they will probably turn around and try to get a different match themselves. So establish dominance early by throwing those scanners. You throw 6 scanners right out of the gate, and then wolfpack them. That'll be 12 Wasps. Hopefully the wolfpack kills them all, finish off the rest of them, and now you're on a 30-second cooldown after that. Every 30 seconds, throw another scanner and kill them with the Jupe. For me, the Berletta is going to be a backup, so I'm going to be looting light ammo between bouts here so that I've got a stack of that to work with once I wear down my energy ammo and stacks of scanners. Slowly but surely make your way to your extract point and work around that so you can hit the button at the last minute and have those extra seconds to work with. And if all of that sounds too obnoxious or too spicy for you, for the sane among you, you can be looking to get something like 15,000 points solo. That's roughly 75 Wasps, and that's a really good score. If you're somewhere in the Daredevil hotshot range, you should be happy with a score like this one. This does involve farming snitch scanners. Same thing, just not as many of them. It's just not quite as high a risk as those bringing in an entire looting cautious of them. But your kit will look like snitch scanners, however many you want to bring, and again, weapons that you are effective with. A hole cracker makes a great option here because you can reliably one-shot wasps with it, and with the Phantom Targets event going on right now, wasps flying around erratically does make them somewhat harder to hit, and so one-shotting them with a Jupiter is somewhat less reliable. And the strat for the sane folks out there, if you truly can't be buggered to do the snitch scanner method, and I know everybody is sick of farming these scanners, and you just want to kill natural wasp spawns, then something like a silenced osprey or a Rennie, and parking up on top of Blue Gate's overlook air shaft building and farming natural spawns there might be your best bet. Now the science for this one, what we don't know because of those patch notes and the changes that have been made to natural snitch spawns, what we don't know, what are the odds of the various combinations that spawn in from those natural snitches? How likely is it that a Rocketeer will spawn, for example? Can they still be reasonably relied upon to be a source of wasps, or should they be avoided entirely? Must we now use snitch scanners exclusively, which are unaffected by the patch notes? Should snitches be killed outright just for the scanners and then thrown? We don't know. This is the science that we will need to conduct going into this, so we're better prepared for the trials ahead. So leave your comments below letting me know what it is you've learned about this. Search Husks. For the Cantina Sweats, you're going to be looking Spaceport or Damn EMS, whichever is in rotation. And that's because, as of right now, Husk Graveyard isn't in rotation, so Electromagnetic Storm is going to be your best bet. There's 400 points per Husk searched, so 30,000 points or so for solos is possible. That's 75 to 80 Husks. And there is RNG that determines how many spawn in, so your mileage may vary. Prep for this, familiarize yourself with the maps ahead of time to know where all the various husks are. Rocketeer husks, wasp husks, even Baron husks count for this trial, so know where those are and plan accordingly. Your kit going into this is going to be double snaps because you're going to be moving a lot on large maps like this. So 2 snaps, probably 6 stacks of stims, 3 to 4 wolf packs in case you get aggroed by the wrong thing, a photo cloak for the same reason, light shield so you can move faster for these, you do have a lot of ground to cover, and a Jupiter or hole cracker to deal with things quickly, whatever pops up on your radar. Strat is going to be immediately checking for your final extract. Hopefully it's somewhere near where you spawned in so that you can actually rotate away from it and come back full circle and finish near where the extract is. Searching as ever is going to be touch and go. Breach these things, interact with it long enough to hear the audio cue, and then leave so you can bounce out. Don't forget, electrified husks during EMS are different from the standard husks. Those ones you breach and you auto search them, and then you can leave immediately. The electrified husks you'll need to back away from, wait for the sparks to stop so that you can interact with it in order for it to count. Simply breaching them does not award you any points. Movement speed is going to be absolutely essential here, hence the snaps. You're basically going to be using it on cooldown. You can also bring zips if you prefer for the large areas that you're going to be covering. I will include a map on screen here that shows where all of the husks are on Dam Battleground. One of them is a bit tough for some folks to find who aren't familiar with this, and so don't spend too much time looking for it. It is actually on the outside ledge of the control tower, way up high. You can either use a control tower key, get inside that room, unlock the door out to that ledge from inside there, or set up an elaborate series of zips and snap up to the top for 1 wasp husk. Or you can skip that one and keep on moving. Now, if all of that sounds much too spicy, again, for you sane folks out there, any electromagnetic storm will do. Any map will do, whichever ones are in rotation, okay? And you can expect something like 10,000 points for a solo raider, roughly 25 husks searched. And if that's still too spicy for you, 8 husks will get you 3,200 points for your 3 stars. Okay, your prep is going to be same as sweats. Your kit is going to be a snap, mountains of stims, a photo cloak, whatever regular combination of gear that you're comfortable with for running this. As usual, you then plan your extract based on your spawn and rotate away from it and circle back to that extract, leaving it for last. Now, science that will need to be conducted for this trial. Historically, on Dam specifically, there were a couple wasp husks that didn't count for points for this. They were bugged, and we don't know whether or not that's been rectified. And those were in the Raider Outpost East and down by the Formicae Outpost way down on the south. So we won't know until the trial goes live whether or not those count or whether they can still be reliably skipped. Destroy ticks. Cantina's Stella Night Raid. Points for this, 308 points per tick, the same as it was the last time this trial was run. So you can expect 21 to 25,000 points for solos or squads, incidentally, because even if you did split up in somewhere like Stella, more bodies just means blocking those spawns coming back in. And so more people does not necessarily help with this trial. So regardless of how many of you are running this, you can expect 80 ticks to be about the ceiling, about maximum of what's possible during a normal Stella Night Raid. Prep for this, familiarize yourself with the layout of Stella if you haven't already, and then you plan your rotation route to where all they spawn. Your kit is going to include a snap hook, as always, 7 or 8 stacks of stims, zips for the repeating map loop, something like a hole cracker to deal with shredders, and something quick to kill the ticks with. If you're comfortable with something like a Rennie and you prefer that, you can, but a Berletta works just fine because they have so little health. Strat for this, stick to your loop, kill ticks, rinse, repeat. For the sane among you, probably also Stella. You can run it during the day if you prefer, but if you really just can't stand Stella and you want to try someplace else, you can help me test some science on Riven Tides. Riven Tides did not exist the last time this trial was run, and so it's possible that you might get a decent score creating a zip train between the hotel and the Port Authority building and farming the ticks that pop up there. If you are running a Stella day raid and you know your way around the map reasonably well, but you're not getting every single spawn, you can expect 8,000 to 10,000 points to be a really good score on Stella. Don't know what the possible score would be for somewhere like Riven Tides. We'll have to find out. And if you do try it, leave the comments below and let me know what it is you learn. Prep for this, you don't need to do anything to prepare for a tick trial. Your kit, by my testing for the Riven Tides attempt, is a 12 zips to get you from one end of the map all the way to the other. And you can rinse and repeat the loop that way. Your strat, ensure you have the beach extract and a full raid timer. Head to whichever of those 2 major points is closest, kill the ticks, then set up zips to the others. And then just ride the zip train back and forth for full 30 minutes and extract. Science for this one, How viable are alternatives to Stella for this, like Riven Tides, as I already said? In my testing, I found 9 reliable tick spawns on Riven Tides, going all the way from the hotel over on the west side to a busted up ship way over on the farthest bits of sand on the east side, and you can create a train of 12 zip lines between them, and there's 9 tick spawns there. Is this a viable alternative? Does somewhere else stack up better? Don't know. Leave your comments below and let me know what you come up with. Damage arc enemies using light impact grenades, another returning trial. In my experience running this trial for Cantina Sweats, your best bet is going to be Spaceport Matriarch, or one I'm less familiar with, Bluegate Matriarch. You get 2 points per 1 damage done with the light impact grenades themselves, and so you can get over 40,000 points as a solo sweat. That would be a great score. It does depend on a lot of factors though, so it may require a lot of banging your head against a wall to get the kind of scores that you want. Prep for this, you need to have the in-round crafting perk on the tree. You need to then farm chemicals and plastic, and that's because a light impact grenade takes 3 chemicals and 2 plastic to make. And so each attempt, you're gonna need a 3-to-2 ratio of raw materials that you bring in, chemicals to plastic. Great places to farm these. Bluegate checkpoint for chemicals. Just pretend it's a breach car trial. Every car you can breach and search the inside of, bring back things like oil and coolant back to Speranza with you, recycle them there, and after 1 or 2 runs, you'll have plenty of chemicals to use for this trial. Plastic, my favorite go-to is Spaceport arrival and departure buildings. They are absolutely loaded with plastic and things that recycle down into plastic. So again, a couple runs there will get you what you need to run this trial. Your kit is going to be maximally a looting cautious, which is terribly risky because if you die, you lose all these stacks of materials. Not the end of the world, but it is going to cost you hours of time and basically a day of attempts. And so maximal points, something like looting cautious, 15 stacks of chemicals and 10 stacks of plastic, and a snap hook. And that's because the strat for this, drop 3 stacks of chemicals and 2 stacks of plastic somewhere safe before you go to the matriarch. You'll need the inventory space and you can come back to these later, assuming you're successful. You get inside the matriarch by snapping on top, popping off the corner, getting inside, and then you start crafting nades. Now that you know you've made it, and now you've judged how many other people are doing this, you can decide whether or not you want to proceed at this point by starting to craft inside. So then stand as far back as you can and start throwing those impact grenades at the core till you're out, make more, rinse and repeat until she's dead. Once she's dead, if you like, you can loot her very quickly for arc resin and arc coolant, which break down into plastic and chemicals respectively, and then go pick up the other stacks that you stashed somewhere. Run to the departure and arrival buildings for more plastic and chemicals, make more nades, kill every single thing that you see on the map that moves, make your way to the final extract, maximum points. Again, anything over 40,000 points is considered a great score for solos on this trial. And last time I'll say it this week, if all of that sounds too spicy for you and you are of the sane variety of person, you can do something like Spaceport Hidden Bunker here. And you can expect anywhere between 20 and 30,000 points for solos using the same methods, okay? You are also going to bring in plastic and chemicals in their raw forms. Bring a survivor, less risk so you don't lose all those materials. 12 stacks of chemicals or so, 8 stacks of plastic, snaps, zips. Ensure that you've got a good spawn extract that you like, that you've got the full match timer. Go to the backside of the departure building, stand on the structures looking down at the bastions that have spawned in there. And if you are standing correctly on the building, they should not be able to shoot you while you throw light impact grenades at them, lobbing them down on top, aiming for the circular spot on the top of the bastions. It's 20 to 25 nades to kill a bastion, depending on your accuracy. Kill all of the bastions that spawn in there. There are also bombardiers that spawn back there. These are much dicier to play with, especially if you are of the same variety. My recommendation is that you play the Raider Depot and go from side to side of it while throwing the light impact grenades at the bomba. They need 25 to 30 light impact grenades to kill, again, depending on your accuracy. Rinse and repeat as they respawn in. Hope for a good extract. Ideally, you'll have the extract right near there, but you can work with the others near there, especially if you're not going for maximum points here. And final science for the unknowns going into this trial is what I suggested just now for the hidden bunker strategy, a more viable option or an equally viable option to what has historically been the trend with this trial, which is hunting shredders on Stella. Once upon a time, you just crafted them in match, hunted down every shredder you could find, and you threw the light impact grenades at them near their base until they died. I am curious to know if there are alternatives to that for those who have, again, no interest in being on Stella. Let me know in the comments below what you've come up with. Let me know what kind of numbers you pull for this trial and for all of your trials this week. And then, if you like, you can catch me doing this science live throughout the week on my streams on Rumble, Twitch, and YouTube. You can come in, let me know in chat what it is you've tried, what's worked for you, all the things I'm doing wrong. I am absolutely interested in hearing how I could be better in these, so either tell me while I'm live, leave whatever comments you think would be beneficial so that we can all help one another maximize our trial scores. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I drop videos like this on Rumble and on YouTube each week to help you prepare for the trials and to help you execute on those trials. And don't forget, whether you're a Cantina sweat or a sane person, in trials, the clock is the enemy.